Now then, everybody, come across this video by BlackBeltBarrister about rioting, so we'll see what he's got to say.
More blunt and honest truth here on Black Belt Barrister Off the Record. Thanks for joining me. Please do subscribe to the channel.
And if anybody's wondering, the reason I react to the Off the Record videos is because these are his opinion. He's not in his lawyer capacity, I would say, and so I'm more able to sort of give insight from my perspective, because I'm not a lawyer, so I can't really give much added context to his other videos. But these off the record ones are free game, in my opinion, for to give your sort of own response to in regards to political opinions, etc.
Channel, keep this growing. Maybe this will get to 1 million subscribers before I'm on my main channel, but we'll see. We are reading about riots and disorder in Epsom.
I mean, I think so. I think if he really put loads of effort into his off-the-record one, it would grow a lot faster, because people want honest opinions. They don't want manufactured corporate nonsense, which is what all the politicians are always constantly trying to give us.
Main channel, but we'll see. We are reading about riots and disorder in Epsom. Clashes with police who turn up in masses of riot gear. There's been comments as to how quickly the police turned up in riot gear to this as against other events.
Yeah, I mean, I will say it looked suspect to me of how fast they all turned up. I know people in the police, and I know that they don't all just have that amount of I don't know if you would call it riot gear, but equipment for dealing with troublesome groups. I'm not sure that they all have that just lying around.
And protesters are demanding that the police release the descriptions and the CCTV of the men suspected of this poor woman being attacked, gang raped outside a church in Surrey in the early hours of Saturday morning. Now, the police are obviously, I think in my view, are obviously not going to release the CCTV. What they might do at most, if they do have CCTV, is release stills of the men along with some basic descriptions. But here in...
I mean, as far as I'm aware, still not transpired. I mean, this was before the weekend, I believe. Now we're the opposite side of the weekend, and I would still think that would give them enough time, weekend or not, that we would know.
The problem, they are not doing that. They're not releasing any kind of descriptions at all. And for the avoidance of doubt, particularly if there's any law enforcement watching my channel, I'm not speculating here, and I'm not saying...
And I will say, right, if in like a perfect world, I suppose, we wouldn't have to need to know, because you would be innocent until proven guilty anyway. But that's not what occurs with the media. Obviously, they will splash out images and even names of somebody who's been accused of a crime that has not yet been found guilty. And if that's potentially the rule we're all meant to be living by, but then we're not living by that rule because certain other groups of people just get treated with kid gloves and do not have their identities and photographs splashed all over the internet.
Who I think it might be and what I think it might be, but I am going to comment, as is newsworthy and legally valid. I am going to comment on the response and the lack of information given to the public, because I think that's of genuine public interest concern. It feels to me like the Southport thing all over again, where they obviously have some information, they are just...
Yeah, although it's not kicked up as fast. I don't know, maybe it's a difference between Southerners and Northerners. Because that Southport stuff, that kicked up fast, and then it spread throughout the immediate, well, not immediate, but the broad area. We had some riots near where I'm from in Yorkshire. So yeah, I mean, not trying to point the finger at the Southerners. I'm not trying to say go out rioting. I'm not. This is not a call for violence, and don't want to see like a sort of civil war here. But obviously, things are sort of heading that direction, irrespective of what I want.
Not passing it on. And I say that on the following basis. You see, everything I say has to be very carefully couched and worded. And some people criticize me for that. And they say, your wording is always couched and caveated and everything else. That's because I'm not stupid. I don't want to get sued. I don't want to get...
Yeah. It's correct. You don't want to get sued just for putting your opinions on the internet and being able to partake in democracy as such. We have to be careful about what we're saying, as bad as that is.
prosecuted, and everything I say, I'll say with some sort of factual basis. Now, I take some snippets from reputable news sources, this one in particular from The Telegraph, that says as follows. Surrey Police has said that it's still working to identify the identities of those suspected of carrying out this attack. A spokesperson said, and I quote verbatim from The Telegraph, who I presume is quoting verbatim this spokesperson for Surrey Police, quote, "At this early stage, we do not have full descriptions of any potential suspects. We will release further details once we have them. The victim's been supported by specialists, sexual officers, etc." Now, I take the wording here very seriously. They say, we do not have full descriptions. Now, that might not be to say they have any description at.
If they've got the CCTV footage, and if it's such a busy area, surely they've got some sort of description. They can't just... We don't know what these people looked like. I very much doubt that is the case.
At all, but I somewhat doubt it. They will have, in my view, from experience, they will have some description from this poor lady. They will have some description because everywhere will be likely to have been caught on CCTV, either the area itself or going to that area or leaving that area at or around that time. And they might just be suspects, which is why it's always alleged, etc., because until they've been prosecuted and found guilty, no one is guilty of anything. But they very often will release stills of CCTV from the local area to say, this might be someone that we've been interested in talking to. And in my view, I think they do have some description. They're just not sharing it from what I can gather.
Completely agree. They've got it, they're not sharing it because they know it's going to spark something, because it's evidently not. I don't know this, but in my opinion, this is opinion only, it looks like it's not a white Englishman.
Now, again, just to be clear and legally safe, some people have speculated online. I am not going to do that, and I'm not going to repeat what people have speculated online.
Yeah, I've just speculated, but that's, cares what I think, to be fair. If you care what I think, you're a bit of an idiot. I wear a mask. Who cares what I think? Because
that would be wrong. That would be spreading misinformation, because I can't verify the source that came from. And if it came from the police, fine.
On a balance of probabilities, let's be honest, we all kind of know.
If it came from a news source that's quoting the police, fine. But at the moment, it isn't. But the point is, to me, I really do think that there would be some extra information here. From all my experience and from what I know, I did 3 years as a special constable with the police. I've worked with a lot of police over the years since then, decades ago that was. And from what I know, there will be some information, and they're just not sharing it. And I feel that they're not sharing it because they don't want to upset people. And I
agree. I can't add much more to that other than just that it'll upset people, which will then trigger violence and attacks and police equipment getting damaged when they have to deal with it. And yeah, they're trying to look at it as mitigating it, but all they're doing is, I don't want to quote people that aren't relevant to the video, but there is a quote from somebody. Now, I haven't made this up, but a problem delayed is a problem magnified. Problem delayed is a problem magnified. That's what the police are doing here. They're delaying the problem, kicking the can down the road, and the chickens are going to come home to roost if they don't deal with it properly.
I don't know why that is. They say that, it's been widely discussed. Hang on, who is this quoting here? A man quoted by the Telegraph here. They say, "We came here today to deliver a letter to the police. Unfortunately, we've not been able to do that. They've been very kindly joined us. Let's read that letter out to them." And then he said, "I'm writing as a deeply concerned resident of Epsom to formally request clarity and assurance following reports of a serious and distressing incident that is said to have taken place locally." This is the letter that he's reading out here. "It's been widely discussed within the community that a 20-year-old woman was subjected to a prolonged and violent assault, reportedly occurring in a churchyard and for a significant period of time. What is compounding this concern is the apparent lack of publicly available information regarding the incident. There's been no clear communication about whether suspects have been identified, apprehended, or whether there's any longer risk to the public. The absence of detail has led to widespread speculation, misinformation, growing unease within the community. As residents, we fully appreciate the need for discretion during active investigations. However, we believe that it's essential for the public to be provided appropriate updates and reassurances, particularly when an incident of this severity has occurred. At present, many women...
It's enough of this. It's enough of this like nonsense from the police, right? So I'm like zoning out with listening to all this like crap that the police give us each time. And I know the police have to do things properly and they have to, couch the language themselves so that they don't get themselves into bother. But as I've said, like, we're just magnifying a problem here. Get worse and worse. Point where things are going to kick off. Not just going to be riots. It's going to be full on every day or perpetuity riots. Worse. Checkpoints, people going missing. Warlords taking over certain properties have value, conflict, etc. I don't want to go on like a doomsday analysis of like how bad things can get here, but I think a lot of British people are sitting on their hands thinking that things will always be okay because they always have been okay. Their optimism bias leads them to believe that it will never come here. But I'm sorry, like, those of you that grew up in like the IRA sort of stuff should know that bad things can happen, and it's so close it's unreal at the minute, and people are just still too busy trying to book their holidays to Benidorm and all other benign nonsense which isn't important. We need our hands on the wheel. We need to resolve some of these problems that we've got, and this problem with the police keep burying these crimes or trying to handle these crimes differently than they do Indigenous person needs to be addressed, because you're gonna open up a can of worms that you're not gonna like, and you're not gonna be able to put the lid back on. Anyway, that's all I've got to say for this. A link for Daniel's video will be in the description if you want to watch what he's saying without me talking over the top. And I'll see you in the next video.